Hello, everybody. Let's get into the battles of the Civil War. So, we have talked about important people, secession, states leaving, Jefferson Davis, Lincoln, Grant, Lee, big things. So, now we're going to get into the battle part. So, you had a worksheet to talk about the resources of the Union that a lot of you didn't do. So, do them, please. Turn them in. It will only help you. Um, The Union, a lot more factories, people, railroads, huge advantage in weapons and military, and a stronger political structure. The South had brilliant military commanders. The battles were mostly fought on their land, and they had a much stronger desire for victory. So when you look at it this way, I don't know. They look pretty evenly divided. In terms of military commanders, the South had them beat. Their military commanders were much stronger, more militarily trained. Um, just based on military commanders alone, they should have won. But the North had more factories, resources, people, railroads. Resources win wars, and this one is a testament to that. Um, South had the home field advantage. They knew the terrain. They knew places that were safe, places that weren't, that kind of thing. But then on the other hand, since they were on their home terrain, it got destroyed. People's houses got destroyed. People's farms got destroyed. That's bad, clearly. Um, the North had a stronger political structure. They had a stronger push towards keeping the Union together, eventually leading on to that getting rid of slavery thing we talked about in Lincoln's first inaugural, where he wanted to just keep the Union. Second inaugural, okay, let's get rid of slavery. Um, but the South had this greater desire for victory. They fought under the ideas like they were saving themselves, saving their culture, their way of life from the aggressive northern armies that are trying to come down and change things. Um, that's one thing that's really cool about history is that you every event is seen differently depending on where you're getting the information from, what people. Um, I had a professor in college that taught in Texas for a while, and when he was teaching, his like other professors and the things he had, he was told to teach the Civil War was called the War of Northern Aggression. It views the North at even today, like today, they view the North as the aggressors, the ones that are wrong. Now, obviously, not everybody believes that way, but that kind of thought process is still around. I read this book that you're all welcome to read. It's called Confederates in the Attic. About this guy that in the 90s went around and toured all of these, like toured a bunch of these southern states, going to battlegrounds and reenactments and all of this stuff. A book clearly all of you would absolutely love to read in your spare time. Um, and he stumbled into like Confederacy support groups that still exist and um, like programs and clubs for children so they can grow up in the ways of the Confederacy and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff still happens. Just off point. So we talked a little bit about Fort Sumter before. This was known as kind of like the first like where the Civil War begins. This was a Union fort in South Carolina. Remember, South Carolina was the first one to secede, first one to leave the Union. Um, they ran out of supplies, and they like called up Lincoln. Well, not really, because they didn't have phones then. But they wrote Lincoln a letter, and they were like, "Hey, help! We're out of food." Lincoln's like, "Okay," and so Lincoln sends resources to them because they're trapped in Confederate territory, and the Confederates are like stealing or shooting down any like caravans of resources that were coming to them. Um, the Confederates saw this Lincoln resupplying them as an act of war. And so April 12th, just a couple weeks ago, the Confederates started to bombard the fort, and this is where the Civil War begins. Okay, so next we have the Battle of Bull Run. This is the first major land battle. It's also called the Battle at Manassas, because that's like the town outside of Manassas, Virginia. So it's kind of between DC and Richmond, Virginia. So kind of it's in Southern territory, but like kind of northernish. This was a shocking defeat for the Union. They got destroyed. It was bad. Yeah, they got destroyed. So it was really scary for the army because the Northern Army came into this war as, oh, look at us, we have more machines, we're stronger, we're bigger, we're more civilized. You can't see me doing air quotes, but I'm doing them, I promise. Civilized. We're not relying on slavery to keep our economy going. The Northern Army went into it expecting to just destroy. They didn't. The Confederate Army came out again with their huge military leaders and just destroyed them. Eventually, there would be another battle fought here about a year later. So this battle, they kind of knew it was coming. The armies, as they were moving, they were going to converge. So people like senators and their families, and just people from DC and Richmond came out, brought picnics, and had like carriages, and they sat and wanted to watch the battle. They wanted to watch the battle. This is a war. And they brought sandwiches to watch the battle. Well, as the Union Army started to get destroyed and things got scarier and scarier, people had to up and leave because, like I said, this is war. Terrible. So, as you can probably assume, that was the last war that people came to just watch for fun. Next, we have Shiloh. So, this was in April 1862. Keep in mind, the war started in April 1861 and it ends in 1865. So, we're literally like a year in. Ulysses S. Grant invades Shiloh, Tennessee. So, we're getting further south. This is a massive, bloody battle that shows that the North will do whatever it takes to preserve the Union. So we already know that there was that's what the North wanted, was to keep the Union together. And the South was more of, no, I want to do my own thing. This was a crucial success for Grant. So remember, Bull Run, massive defeat. Things were not going well. When you have massive defeats like that, it's kind of also a blow to morale. It's just, you don't want to keep fighting at full force if, you're losing. It's harder and harder to gain that momentum to keep going. So big things like this kept the Union Army going. They were like, as they were fighting, the Confederate Army was driving them back for miles, like drove them back 2 miles, and they were still fighting. Crazy. Okay, let's stop here. Yeah, because we're going to move on to Antietam next, like on Wednesday when I send you these. So, this week I have a worksheet for you to do about the lives of soldiers. It's easy. It's just like a timeline of what a normal day for them looks like when they're not actively engaged in battle, because obviously if they're actively engaged, they're fighting all day. But this is like a normal day not fighting. All you have to do is look through that and then write like a reaction paragraph. Tell me what you think. If you would like to do that, if you think that if you lived in this time, if you would join the army. Whew, sorry. And then I'm also going to be sending you another video and a recipe. So one of the main things that soldiers ate was called hardtack. It was like this, it's kind of like bread if bread was baked for like 10 hours. Like, it's a really, really hard salted piece of flour. Um, it was not super healthy, but you could stick it in your backpack and then pull it out 2 weeks later and it'd be fine. So that's what they survived on was hardtack. Sometimes they get worms in it. If you put it in your coffee first before you eat it, the worms die and they come out from the hot liquid. So you can scoop those out before you drink it. That's real. That's disgusting too. So you should try and make it. Try and make it. Send me pictures or a video of yourself making it or eating it, or I don't know. Give me your reactions. I want to know what you think of it. Um, I made it last year for my class, and at the end of the day, this boy came up to me and asked if he could have the rest of it because he liked it so much. So maybe he'll like it. Who knows? But yeah, so try that out. Don't forget to do that worksheet. You have a quiz this week, and that's about it. So let me know if you have any questions. Have a great